Even though you can't choose your family, you can choose to be around them or not. I always wanted to be successful. I always thought I deserved it. I always knew I would do something with my life. I have literally been posting gym videos since I was 17.
The fastest way to change how you feel is to change your location.
When we was in lockdown though, I didn't earn anything for like 5 months.
If your childhood hadn't have been the way it was, you wouldn't be sat here today with an app that does millions of pounds. You wouldn't be sat here with book deals. You wouldn't be sat here living in Dubai. You wouldn't be sat here with the opportunities that you've got.
Like, I felt so shit. I was literally consuming some days 300 calories. But then remember, I'm probably running about 1,000 off. My impulsiveness has made me succeed in business because I don't wait around. It's like when people say, what's your 5-year plan? I absolutely hate that phrase. I want to meet people that are going to inspire me and I can inspire them and we can grow from each other. You've got to start taking initiative and you've got to start working for what you want. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. They worry about not succeeding. They worry about their business failing, and that's the biggest thing that stops them from succeeding. Do you feel like you can help people? Do you feel like you're actually good at it? Do you feel like you back yourself on it? Do you feel like you're confident in it? And that's how I think you know you've got purpose.
Quick one before we jump into this podcast. Do me a solid favour, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. If you're looking to remove images, videos, search results, or fake accounts online, go to contentremoval.com. But don't take my word for it. Here's some music.
Frank, you're a legend. I just saw this. Layla also thinks you're a legend, which in my mind means you're which means you're a double legend in my mind. If you get my wife to think you're a legend, then you're extra cool in my mind. Dude, thank you so much, genuinely. That was such a pain.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast, coming live to you from Dubai. And I have got the queen of British fitness, Miss Courtney Black.
Wow.
Welcome to the show.
What an intro.
Yeah.
DXB, baby.
Yeah. How are you liking Dubai so far?
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Glad you made the move?
Yeah, well, I've not fully moved yet, but I'm really happy. I'm really settled, and I don't really want to go back, but obviously it's summer, so whatever.
Yeah, I suppose you can't stay here when it's getting...
I'm ready to be here full time, though.
You ready?
I feel like everyone here is just so much more driven. People that I've met within, like, the last week, like, going and, like, having meetings with people. Like, I've met people that own, like, incredible, like, gyms and, like, businesses out here, and I feel like everyone's just, like, a lot more open to helping each other and, like, talking about...
It's definitely more collaborative, isn't it?
Way
I'd
more.
say.
It's not even that everyone just wants to help each other.
I mean, obviously, I was living in Australia for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the UK thinking I'm going to absolutely full send it with the podcast, and I did all right there. I got a few good guests on. But I just found it so... Because it wasn't summer there, it was like so draining and weighted down. And I just kind of thought, right, Dubai for me, let's get out, let's get on.
Look, England's an amazing place. I love London. I'm a Londoner. I've always loved London. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that I have decided to move. But one thing is obviously safety, and then obviously the lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with London. I'm ready for a change. Yeah. I
was reading, obviously, intensively into your backstory because I wanted to really understand you.
You were stalking me.
Yeah, no, don't. Go easy. Don't tell anyone. But no, I was reading about, and obviously your whole journey has been mad in terms of, like, you know, from selling ebooks and everything you've done in business, and we'll go into that. But I really wanted to go into more of your childhood and how you came up, because I know when I read your story, it must have been a difficult childhood. Your relationship with your dad, your eating disorder I read about today, and all that kind of stuff. I really want to unpack that. So talk to me about growing up in East London and what that was kind of like, you know, and how that kind of transcended into you getting into your fitness.
Do you know what? It was amazing because I was a bit, I'd say, naive when I was growing up as to what was going on around me. Didn't realise, like, obviously, look, my dad was a good dad to me, do you know what I mean? He's never done anything wrong to me, except obviously when my mum and dad split up, things went a bit sour. But I was young. My mum didn't tell me anything. They hid it very well. My sister was quite aware, I think. But I didn't know until shit hit the fan, you could say. So I didn't know, like, what my mum was feeling, how upset my mum was, what my mum was going through. And look, my dad wasn't like a horrible husband. Well, they wasn't married, a horrible partner. But obviously he had an addiction. And that didn't make him aggressive. It didn't make him angry or anything like that. But to live with someone with an addiction that strong is really, really tough. And I can literally see how much my mum went through, because recently I met someone just out and about and I see how, like, addicted they was. And even just being their friend was so tough. So to be with someone for that many years and go through that for that many years, I can't even imagine how hard it was on her. And when I see my mum break down when they split up, and she come to me and she explained the situation, she explained that she's been trying for so long to stay with my dad, for me, mainly, because my sister was older. And I think the relief on her face that I could see when I said to her, Mum, don't stay with him, was just like incredible. Like, it literally just looked like so much stress had left her body. And I don't know what she went through for so many years. I mean, the things that I've heard in the background, like, mustn't have been easy for her. And I think now, for me, having been that naive, it has opened my eyes a lot to what's going on around me. And look, addiction's a horrible, horrible thing, and not speaking to your dad since you're 13 is quite intense. But look, there's a lot worse things going on in the world. It's made me a stronger person. But I didn't really realise it affected me as much as I think it has. And I only realise that now, obviously being interviewed by people on podcasts, and I had a therapist for a bit, and they start mentioning it and they start going, do you reckon that's maybe a trigger for your eating disorder? Because that's when it started getting really bad. Do you reckon I feel like I definitely have commitment issues. Do you reckon that's probably one of the bits from there? And it's only when people start asking you these questions that you think, maybe it is.
You think subtle patterns have come out from your childhood into adulthood.
Yeah.
And you've brought them with you. What was your dad addicted to?
Drugs.
What, heroin?
Like cocaine. No, not heroin. Jesus.
Cocaine.
God. Yeah.
No, but a cocaine addiction, like you can seriously get into a serious hole with cocaine.
Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah.
And obviously, with cocaine, there comes that massive euphoric high, which obviously you keep having to take more and more to get the euphoric high that you got. And then there can be aggression on the back end of.
Look, my dad was a lovely guy. This is the thing. Like, he's got a lot of good traits to him, but he's absolutely ruined himself. Like, and it's so sad because I do think he knows it. Because, like, look, my dad doesn't dislike me, right? My dad loves me, and he's not even tried to speak to me since I was 13. He still speaks to my sister. But I genuinely think I think that's because he doesn't want to drag me down. And I've never actually been this in detail about it before, and I only say that now because my mum and me and my sister, I've only just started recently talking to him about it. But I genuinely think, like, it's because he doesn't want to drag me down. Put it this way, right? My dad's never asked me for a penny. Yeah. And I know recently that my dad's been struggling. Yeah. And I've even said to my sister, look, I haven't spoke to my dad since I was 13, and I don't want to speak to my dad. And I know that might sound horrible, but I don't want to speak to him because we've just grown so far apart, and I don't want it to be like that. But obviously I'll always help him out. Like, I don't dislike him, do you know what I mean? But he's never, ever, ever rang me and asked me for a penny. And he knows what I'm up to. Like, he does check, do you know what I mean? He knows what I'm doing. He asked my sister about me. Like, him and his uncles and that, they definitely do check online and stuff. But he's never once asked me for anything. He's never once tried to get in contact. And I genuinely think that's because he knows that he would drag me down. And he knows that he can't help this addiction. And he knows what I'm like. And he knows I would probably speak to him again if he sorted himself out. But he just don't want to. And it's not in his DNA.
Have you ever thought about a perspective shift in terms of, like, I know you say you don't want to speak to him now, but have you ever thought of it from a point of view of, like, your dad was just trying to do the best that he could to cope with the situation that he was in his own time?
No, because he's still addicted.
But have you ever tried to get into understanding why he's addicted in the first place?
Yeah. It's like talking to a brick wall. And it's a shame. It is a shame. If he ever once said to me, like, oh, maybe we can sort this or whatever, like, I'll definitely, like, be up for, like, helping him or whatever. But as I say, I feel like it's a tough one because I feel like he has gone so far now. And I do feel like even though you can't choose your family, you can choose to be around them or not.
Yeah.
And it was just negative energy.
And you just had to shift yourself from that so that you could elevate.
I remember I'm 26. I'm still, like, I'm not long like a proper adult. Do you know what I mean? Like, and from 13 to 26, I feel like there should have been some sort of, like, adult role there. There should have been some sort of parental role there. And there wasn't. It was just, I'll talk to your sister, but I won't talk to you. So maybe I'm a little bit bitter still, but yeah.
Yeah, because obviously you could carry that bitterness into where you are now. And
yeah.
Because, like, obviously your sister's talking to him, you're not talking to him. So there's a separation there. But do you think that kind of fired you up to go along your entrepreneurial journey and kind of got you to move forward that way?
No, I'm not going to use that as that because I've always been like this. Even my dad would back me. I've always had this mindset. Look, we grew up with nothing, right? I'm not being funny, but we just lived in Bow. Like, we had a little council house. My mum's only just bought her first house, right? She's like 53, 54, with her new husband. They've literally only just managed to get somewhere. Like, we're not from money at all. Like, and I never got given pocket money or anything like that. And it's not a sob story. didn't. And I wanted it. Like, I always wanted to be successful. I always thought I deserved it. I always knew I would do something with my life. And I told my mum I would since I was young. And I've always had, like, just a really, like, open mind to all different opportunities. I've always tried new things. And I knew somehow that I would make it. And I think that is running in my DNA. I don't know where it's come from. I think maybe my mum just absolutely nurtured me and it really did help. Like, my mum is my best friend. She was with me every single step of the day. If I wanted to go dance lessons, she'd drive me there. She would literally spend her last penny putting me through dance lessons, driving me up and down the country. Anything I wanted to do, she would back me on it. So I don't know whether that's come from there or whether it's come from not having a lot and wanting a lot. But I wouldn't say it's come from that, because if anything, my dad gave me quite a lot when he was with me. It's like I was his little princess. So it's not like if he had anything, he would give it to me. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really know.
I was reading about, there was a time when you were a dancer.
Yeah.
And you were going through a dance class or something like that. And there was a point in that dance class where another girl was saying, if you lose weight, you can dance better, or if you weigh less, you can dance better.
Oh, loads, you know what?
And that was am I right in thinking that was a pivotal moment of when the eating disorder started?
I don't actually know. There was multiple reasons. I remember a few things I remember is, one, being called Mr. Blobby at school. 2, wearing a baby pink lycra Latin dress and just seeing belly. And I just remember for I think I was like 12 at the time, 12-year-old kid, to be so focused on this picture. It was just multiple things, like, yeah, in the dancing, everyone used to say, like, you can move faster, you can dance better if you're skinnier. I don't know, I just think it was just an accumulation of all different things. I think growing up as well, like, my dad and my nan, they always would give us, like, loads of sweets, loads of chocolate, and I don't know whether I see that as sort of like a punishment when I tried to restrict myself from it, or I don't really know. I think many factors went into it. Growing up in the generation that I was, and it was all around the Victoria's Secret catwalks. I just think it was a complete shit show. Everything come together.
Yeah, that's another thing, because you used to go running, specifically to the Victoria's Secret YouTube video or something.
Yeah.
Just walk me through the mentality of how that came about, though.
Just, it would motivate me. Looking at them would motivate me.
So you'd be watching Victoria's Secret model catwalk,
and
you'd be running on a treadmill, and then you'd be going home to make yourself sick because you wanted to throw
I've never been sick.
No?
Just wouldn't eat. I don't know what's worse, but I would literally just not eat.
So what was the moment you how did you manage to break through? Because obviously there's a lot of people that might be listening to this and might be going through some form of eating disorder themselves that are really struggling on how to move through it, or some form of addiction to something else, and they want to pivot themselves away from this and obviously take a different course of action. What were the steps that you put in place to kind of make that happen?
Well, I had a boyfriend when I was about 18 or whatever, and I remember I flew home from Turkey when I was on holiday with him. I was just such a bitch. And I thought he was the worst person in the world because we was rowing, but it was me. When you look back, I wasn't eating. I was going to the gym at like 4 a.m. on my own. I literally spent the holiday on my own, being a miserable woman. And then when we started arguing, I just thought he was just being horrible, like being spiteful. But I realised it was me. And then all my relationships around me started breaking down, like friends, family. Like, I'd go to family dinners, family events, family parties. I wouldn't be eating, or I wouldn't go because I didn't want to be around the food, or I'd lock myself in the toilet and chew and spit. So I just felt segregated from everyone. I'd be in the office toilets and I'd literally buy chocolate and chew and spit it out. And I couldn't be in any situation around anyone in to do with food. I didn't want people to see me eating. I would secret eat. I would avoid any work events because I didn't have the energy to go. So I remember once I literally took all my stuff into work, pretended I was going, and got the train home because I'd literally been up. Because I'd been up since like 4 o'clock that morning. I got the night bus and then the train into work, so I could get to the gym for like 5:30. It was one of them pure gyms, and be in there for a good 2-3 hours. And I would absolutely kill myself before work, but I just couldn't sleep. So I was always miserable. I was always so like tired. And I just killed off any relationship or any friendship by either criticising what they was eating, being miserable, constantly thinking about food, not wanting to go out. And I just realised how much I was ruining my life.
Was that triggered by any bullying that you'd experienced?
Do you know what? I definitely wasn't bullied at school, but I definitely didn't fit in. It's weird. There was no direct bullying, but I didn't really have that many friends. I think I had like 3 friends, but they wasn't in my class because I was in the top class. So I was a bit of a geek. And I had like a few girls in my, but I hate to say the word, but we was all a little bit geeks, but there's nothing wrong with being a geek. Like, I mean, I was thriving because I was a geek, do you know what I mean? But we was like the little geeks. And so obviously people would be like they'd laugh at you a little bit, but there was no real reason for them to pick on me because I was likeable. I would tell them shut up, and I wasn't like easily picked on, but I was definitely segregated. So yeah, because I would sit in the classroom doing my homework on my own. I would want to go home and play Stardoll rather than going out with people. So I felt definitely segregated. So that's where that could have come from. But I wouldn't say there was direct bullying. So I think it was like a combination of obviously being surrounded by diet culture, being surrounded by, like, it's just the generation I think I was brought up in mainly, and obviously the dancing.
But how do you feel about the way that the fitness industry's gone now, where it's like very pro-positive, plus-size models? I kind of feel like they've gone completely too far the other way.
Yeah, there needs to be a happy medium, don't there, really?
There needs to be like a normalisation of like being healthy both ways.
I just think it's just about moving your body and feeling good. And like, look, if you don't want to be athletic, then that's fine. If you don't want to be skinny, that's fine. If you don't want to be overweight, that's fine. Like, but yeah, health is really important. Like, my sister was really overweight, and I know how much that affected her life. So I wouldn't promote that to anyone, because I mean, like, if she carried on, she probably would have had a heart attack. She was so heavy at some points that her feet literally smelt, and I'm so proud of her. Like, but she had the opposite to me. She had an eating disorder in the opposite way to me. So she literally come to us and she said, I can't stop eating. Like, and she said, I've literally tried. I'm sure she won't mind me talking about this, but she was like, I've literally tried and I have to make myself sick because I can't stop myself from eating. She was like, I'm literally addicted. But then obviously she felt comfortable talking to me about it because I was in the opposite direction to her.
It's amazing. It's crazy, it's amazing how at a similar pivotal point in your life, when obviously your dad formed the addiction, obviously started to get really engrossed in cocaine, that your sister's gone one way with eating, and she's probably now comfort eating to get over her demons with it. You've gone completely opposite way. You're now not eating to get over your demons with it. You both probably don't realise at this point. Yeah. And then you've carried through this set of patterns into your adult life. And then we're probably
making each other worse.
Yeah, because I think when I was listening to another piece you did, you were judging her for the way that she was operating, and she was probably judging you for the way that you were operating. Did that drive a bit of a wedge between you and the family?
No, not me and my sister. No. I'd say I'd get sly comments and stuff at events from like my aunties and stuff, but it's not because they was being sly. It's because they didn't understand what I was going through. Yeah. Like, they would go to me, oh, Courtney, why are you not eating? Or why are you being miserable? And look, completely understandable. You don't know what I'm doing behind closed doors. And even if I did understand it, they probably wouldn't even understand why I'm doing it. And my mum only starts realising it now because she's listening to my podcast, she's reading my books. She's only really starting to get it now. Whereas if I just come to her and told her, I don't think she would have understood it. Because growing up in the generation that my mum grew up in, it was normal to lick crisps and not eat them. It was normal to not eat. It was normal to just eat cereal because nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. That was the generation that she was brought up in. That was the
tagline to that generation. Yeah, the 90s was a tagline. 80s, well, not the 80s, but the 90s and early 2000s. That was a tagline in your era, wasn't it? But what would your advice be then to, obviously a lot of people listening to this, maybe entrepreneurial, maybe not, but some of them have got children. Some of them listening to this, are going through this themselves. How do you approach someone if you know someone's going through this without alienating them?
I think a big thing is to not just be so pushy about it, because being pushy just gets people's backs up. I think to go around it really carefully, and I'm actually going in schools and talking to young girls about this at the minute, because I think it's a massive thing to stop it before it gets worse. I'd say stop demonising food, because I'm not even joking. How many people say things are bad for them, you can't eat them? I think that's what I was mainly brought up with as well. And then my friend Amy's got such a good relationship with food, and she always has done, because her mum's always just said, you just eat when you're hungry. If you don't want dinner, you don't eat it. Stop forcing kids to have dinner. Stop forcing kids to eat things they don't want to eat. Obviously, you've got to make sure they're eating enough, but stop forcing kids to like eat when they're full. And I think that then doesn't help. So maybe instead of like giving a kid a plate full of food, put like a big family sharing size meal out and let people enjoy having food together, and let people enjoy choosing the foods that they want and how much food they want to eat, and stopping eating when they're hungry. And maybe that's how you could stop it from a young age. And then obviously, if your friends are going through it, I'd say don't be snappy with them, because you're just going to get their back on. It's going to make them then maybe turn to it even more, because obviously if they're using it as a defense mechanism anyway, or to make them as a comfort. I use comfort, not eating. I use comfort to make myself skinnier. So if you're then saying to me, why are you not eating, or you look skinny, I'm probably going to thrive off that. So maybe instead go, oh, like, have you tried doing this strength training thing? Have you looked at this girl? She posts really good recipes, or she posts really good workouts. Maybe influence her to try other things, because that's how I helped. Someone come up to me in the gym and they went, oh, do you want me to help you pick like training? And they started getting me to do different exercises, and they started just teaching me different ways of training and stuff like that. And then I started enjoying it, and I actually felt better. And then people would like recommend like different people to follow or different diet plans. And I actually had this one guy called Josh when I done my PT qualification. I done my PT qualification when I was really skinny. So I actually done it originally to learn how to lose weight more and just get myself in better shape. And then I ended up loving it. But he honestly gave me one-to-one sessions for free, and he was amazing. Like, incredible guy. He had an accident when he was younger, and I think, I can't remember, was it his leg? He had like a metal bottom half of his leg, and him and his wife were just such amazing people. But he literally would come in an hour earlier, help me PT, help me gain a bit of strength, and he really did help me. And I think sometimes that's all you need. You just need one person just to help you through things. And again, like, that's not going to help into everyone, don't get me wrong. They're not always going to have that one person to help them. But watch YouTube videos from empowering people. Listen to podcasts. There's so much information out there. And when you start educating yourself more about it, something just switches. Something just clicks.
So was there a point then when you were training with Josh that he kind of then improved your eating and you started to get you back eating right? And
yeah, because I think he started telling me about macros. He started telling me about like what you actually need food for. It's not just calories. And for me, I just see it as eat as little calories as I can. Whether that means I just eat Special K, whether that means I just eat vegetables. Because I literally just used to buy, them bag of steamed vegetables.
Yeah.
And if I could live on 3 of them, that's all I'd eat. And a packet of blueberries or a mango. That's literally some of the things that I used to do. Like, I used to take a couple bags of them steamed veg in because it would fill me up because of the fibre in it. I'd have a mango or I'd have some blueberries, and that would be me.
It's amazing that you could even operate on that level of energy, when you're talking about actually trying to operate.
And look, I wasn't even diagnosed with anorexia or an eating disorder. Like, I was very, very, very thin. But imagine if I was thinner, and I know so many people are going through this, and they are actually hospitalised about it. So imagine what they're eating. Imagine what they're doing. And I felt so shit. I was literally consuming some days 300 calories. Most days about 600. But then remember, I'm probably running about 1,000 off. I'd run for hours.
So you're at negative 400 every day. I mean, how long can you really go on as a human, like, operating at that level?
I would literally, that as well, like, people must have known that there was something wrong with me, or like I was unhappy, because I would call in sick in work at least twice a week. I don't know how I got away with it. Maybe because they fancied me. I'm joking. But I would honestly get the bus to work, get the bus to the night bus, go to the gym, and I'd think, sod this, I ain't going in. Once I put my head on the radiator in the toilet, and I splashed water in my eyes to make it look like I've been sick.
Just to
so I'd go home. Couldn't stand being there.
And what were you doing for work then?
I was an accountant.
Well, to be honest, if I was an accountant, I wouldn't want to go into work anyway. Yeah, accountancy was never something obviously you were passionate about.
No, I envision myself trotting around in heels as a banker. That's what I always envisioned myself to be.
But it still amazes me how the eating disorder in itself actually served you in a way, because it got you into the PT. It's
the best lesson that I've ever had.
And it got you into your career that you have now, and obviously you've smashed it in fitness, and hundreds of thousands of followers online.
Maybe anger motivates me. Maybe that's what gives me the push. Like, I was angry, obviously, that I put myself through that. And then I was obviously angry about certain things. Maybe I was angry about my dad. Maybe I was angry about that. And that's what's motivated me. Because I do think whenever I come out of a situation where I've been upset, I've always benefited from it. That might sound really weird, but if, say, for example, I'm seeing someone and it doesn't end well, I always end up excelling somewhere. And maybe it's because I've got that little bit of anger or that little bit of...
But how did you get out of... How did you go from accounting then? And obviously you've just learnt PT, you just qualified, Josh has helped you, you've now got your eating back on track, you're an accountant. How did you segue from accountancy into like full-time PT and then obviously building up your online platforms?
So I've been posting on Instagram since I was about 16. So when I was about 18, I had about 80,000 followers. So I've gained a following for over the years. It's not like I've just randomly got followers. I've been posting for literally about 10 years now. So I used to post like fashion posts. When I had my eating disorder, I used to like post loads of going out outfits. I've always been really into fashion. I think that's one thing as well, though. Brands stopped working with me because I was so skinny in these posts. So I've always posted. So I used to post my going out outfits, just lifestyle. And then obviously when I started doing this PT course and I started loving it, I then started posting loads of gym pictures, loads of like gym videos. I have literally been posting gym videos since I was 17. And I've been posting like challenges, abs, workouts, pictures of me in the gym, recipe pictures. I remember I used to make like protein cheesecakes. I've worked with like My Protein World. Like I've literally been doing it for like 8 years, fitness.
But you were still getting paid in the early days for fashion, right?
Yeah.
So from the age
like
of...
70 quid a post.
From the age of what, 16, 17?
17, yeah. About 17.
But to be able to earn £70 a post...
That was amazing.
You're not talking many posts for you at 350 quid a week. You're earning more than you earn in the accountancy.
Tell me about it. This is where this come from, right? So obviously, I was earning after tax £1,100 from the accountancy.
Per month?
Yeah, but at one point, it was 600 quid. Right. So I earned £600 doing this apprenticeship, and then I levelled up. I was able to go faces every weekend because I got a pay rise. But so I started obviously while I was doing the accountancy. At the same time, on the weekends, I was doing the PT course.
Yeah.
So I got qualified while I was doing the accountancy, and then I was researching everything I could learn. I'd done every bit of information about training. I obviously loved going to the gym myself. I'm athletic. I used to love dancing or whatnot. So I was just passionate about it. And then I started doing like plans for people online. So I'd like write up in Word people's plans. Oh my God, if I look back now, I'd laugh at them. That was terrible. Probably the worst advice I've ever given. I was like 19, do you know what I mean? Like whatever. And I'd literally type them up on Word. I think I charged 70 quid for them or 80 quid for them. And I think I'd done about 5 a week. So again,
so you're doing like, at this point, you still got your job.
Yeah.
You're doing 5 plans a week, 70 quid each. You got your 70 quid per post for your fashion stuff as well coming in.
Yeah.
Plus now you're getting into the fitness game.
And I also used to buy and sell dresses on eBay. So I used to buy like really cheap bandage dresses on eBay for like 8 quid and then sell them on like resale sites for like 30 quid.
So what do you reckon you were earning then per week at 18?
Oh, probably like $1,000. Something like that. Yeah.
£1,000 a week at 18 back in those days as well was a lot of money.
I'm a lemon squeezer geezer.
Yeah. So you've always been able to turn social media and attention into money.
I knew I would make money. I knew I would. Like, this is what I'm saying. I've always known somehow I would. Whether that be, I don't know, whether I'd literally just carried on buying and selling things, or I'd made it as a top broker at JP Morgan. Whatever I'd done, I was going to succeed in.
So what's your piece of advice then? Because obviously a lot of people, especially a lot of creators out there, have big followings, don't make no money. What is the key thing that you've learned from building your brand that's allowed you to monetize so quickly and swiftly at every stage of the game plan?
Be genuine. Massive. That is my biggest piece of advice. And I'm saying that because I built my brand up a lot from obviously posting about these transformation and stuff. And then my brand went like this for about 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years. And it was so just like that. Didn't move, didn't go up, at all. And for someone who was thriving, and then it just went, I was getting worried. I thought I was going to have to go into a different career, and it's because I was so ungenuine. I lost myself completely. I hated myself. I was doing everything for other people. I was posting for other people. All my workouts as videos of my arse. None of my workouts were helpful. I was getting fillers all in my face, and I just got really wrapped up in this whole social media and worrying about what was going on around me. And as soon as I stopped that, and I'm not even joking, it was like a light bulb moment, because this only really changed maybe 4 months before lockdown, and then look how much I boomed. And if that didn't happen, if I hadn't changed something about myself, and I just woke up one day and I was so miserable. I remember going into the gym that I worked at, and I said to one of the boys in there, I said, look at me. I said, I don't even look like myself. I said, I look awful. I said, I've got so much filler in my face. I've got these massive eyelashes on. I said, I do not even look like myself. I said, I hate myself. And I literally I had it dissolved. I went in, and something just clicked in me. I thought, I need to get back to who I was. I never used to laugh as much anymore. I found everything so serious. I worried about what everyone thought of me all the time.
Do you think the toxins in the filler, though, as well, were also playing havoc with your hormonal system and all that kind of stuff well?
No, honestly, I just think I just got wrapped up in it all. I literally got wrapped up in all of it. And it's mad because...
It's mad how fast that can happen, though, when you're in the game that you're in. Because obviously, in the fitness industry, it's highly on looks, it's highly on... followers, it's all, you're around a lot. When you're not being genuine, you're not happy, because you're not being yourself. You go into every situation over analysing what anyone's saying about you. You walk down the street and you're always worried about what people are thinking about you, because you're not being yourself. Obviously, if you're acting like someone that you're not confident in that. If you're being who you are, you're confident in it because it's just you. So which parts of yourself
How can you sell a service when you don't believe in yourself?
But which parts of you do you think were not the most genuine at that point?
Everything, because I was changing my image so much. So I was then worried. Yeah, I was then worried about what people said of me, because I was so unhappy in my head. I would literally look in the mirror every single day and pick and point about things that I didn't like about myself.
Did your friends change a lot when you reinvented yourself, dissolved the filler out your face, got back to being your true self? Did you find the people you were surrounded with changed?
Do you want me to be honest? I changed. I've unfollowed so many people. I've took myself away from so many friendship groups, and that has caused me a bit of shit. I've had people coming up to me, why have you unfollowed me? It's not because I don't like you. It's because I don't want to be around your energy. I found myself, because of that, I was surrounding myself with people that was exactly the same as how I was acting, and I didn't like it anymore. I was logging on my Instagram, and I found people being really judgmental, really negative towards other people. No one was motivating me. The people that I was surrounded by wasn't really like driving me to feel better about myself. And I felt like I was just getting dragged down. I felt like really claustrophobic. And I remember ringing my mum actually and saying to my mum about a month into lockdown, just going, I'm so happy that this is where I'm at now. I said, because I was so claustrophobic at one point. I actually rang my mum one night and said, like, I'm just not happy. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was. I just wasn't happy. I felt like I was suffocating.
It's such an important conversation to have as well, that who you're surrounded by is exactly the direction that you're going. And you can't get around it. And there's been times in my life where I've been surrounded by people and I'm like, do you know what? These people, as nice as they are, they're just not going in the direction that I'm going in, and they don't have the same vision. And it's not to say that they're bad people or anything else. It's just like, you got to recognize that, and you got to move to a different location.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one of the things that I say to people is like, the fastest way to change how you feel is to change your location, because
change the people you're around.
But sometimes the fastest way to change who you're around is to change the location.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, because it's like, I was I was doing all right in the UK doing podcasting since I've been back there. But I just didn't feel like alive.
Yeah,
so I was like, right, I got to change the location then. And as soon as I got to Dubai, things started to flow again.
Yeah.
Like business started to flow again. Relationships, like building.
Thank you. Who you surround yourself with, especially in relationships, is so important. I see some people and they're going out with people just because of what they look like, or just because they make them laugh. I was actually talking to someone about this the other day. Just because they make them laugh, right? Just because you find someone funny and you find someone good looking does not mean that you should go out with them. Might be fun for now. You need someone who's going to literally make you so driven every day when you wake up, that's going to challenge you and that's going to actually make you the best version of you. And I see it too many times that my friends get dragged down. Me as well, it's happened to me so many times. Dragged down by people that they're seeing or they're dating, and they don't even realise it until they get out of it.
But if you haven't dealt with all your shadows in your life, like in terms of like your toxic past, your relationship with your dad, I had to deal with things that were going on in regards to my head about my relationships with my mum that affected all my relationships with women at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a repeating pattern, right? If you don't deal with that, you'll keep meeting people to slot into that environment for you, and you keep getting the same lesson over and over again. So the only way, in essence, to figure that out is if you're with a partner and you're like, why am I actually with this partner? It will be because there is a trigger within your past that needs to be answered, and when you answer the trigger, you can move yourself and accentuate through and heal yourself. Because broken people attract other broken people. Essentially, is that kind of what you've experienced?
100%. And you put up with shit as well when you're broken, don't you? When you've got them little triggers or you've got them little niggles. You put up with things that you wouldn't normally put up with. You overlook things that you wouldn't normally overlook. And then when you become a stronger person, I look back now and I think, as if, honestly, I will look back now, or I walk past someone that I spoke to, and I think of the ways that the things that I used to put up with, or not even things I used to put up with, or just the life that I thought was good at the time. And I think, gosh, naff.
Well, Dr. Demartini taught me about values and how important it is to understand what your true actual values are.
Yeah.
Because when you understand what your true values are, I mean, lots of people think they know what their values are.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. That every man will tell you that, his value is like, he wants to look after his family and this, that and the other. But his values, his actual real values might be about money and about moving forward in life, and his family might be his third value.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't know, one, your values, and two, how the values are stacked and in what alignment, you can't really move through and know yourself well. You kind of get into these situations where you're not aligned, and you think to yourself, why is that like that?
What would you say your values are?
Well, my biggest value at the moment is obviously podcasting and creating educational content. That's my key value, and then I think after that is health, and after that, the third one is money, and making money and doing business, and then there's a couple more under that. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but I thought my first value was money before I did the value.
I would have said that when I was younger, 100%. Definitely not now.
So I thought
it's a big thing, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's definitely not number one.
But when I did this assessment that he gave me to do, I realised the podcast came before money. Yeah. And that explained what that allowed me to explain is why it took me so long to even think about monetizing the podcast then. Do you know what I'm saying? Or anything else in my life. So once you know your values, you can now figure out why certain things are happening in your life and why certain things aren't, because you know what your values are aligned against. Whereas so many people are just pursuing things blindly without knowing what the fuck they value. Exactly. And it's just you're in this constant cycle. But when obviously you started to make money and then you obviously quit your job, you go full time into being. So I was working of an evening and weekends at this PT studio. Yeah. So I started building up a really good client base. So I'd leave the office at like 5. I'd be in East London. I'd drive to the gym in Essex, get there for like 5:30 or whatever. Do a couple of hours and then go in. I used to work weekends. I used to work Sundays, bank holidays, and I built that up, obviously. So I'm earning good money. I was only like 30 quid now or whatever, but still, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like self-employed, just paid for the gym. That was it. So built that up, and then I thought, do you know what? Like, why am I slogging myself out of this office? I hate it. I'm young. If I fail, I'll just do something else. Literally what I was for. And I had that benefit. I had the benefit of time. I had that huge, great big... I didn't have no responsibilities. I was living with my mum. I thought, I'm going to give it a go. Obviously, I loved what I was doing. I was so driven. I pushed it so much. When I'm saying to you, I used to post on social media, people in the gym that I used to work with, if they still say to this day, they was like, even when you wasn't getting anything from it, you turn up every single day. You posted videos, you posted your clients, you would train with your clients, you would literally go to breakfast with your clients. Look, I wasn't a great PT. Like, I didn't really know anything back then. Like, if I look back now, I was good at giving workouts. I've always been good at creating workouts, but the education and like the nutrition people were buying
side
your
of things,
personality though, weren't they?
Yeah, the nutrition side of things. Like, I was young. Do you know what I mean? I was fresh to the game, but people just liked being around me. And I like being around them. And I built like my business up from there. But obviously, where am I going to go from there? Like earning 30 quid an hour in a gym in Hainault on an industrial estate. I mean, I could have went to London and charged 100 quid an hour, but then got charged by the gym 50% of that. So where was I going to move from that? And I weren't happy with that. I
love your adversity to taking risks. Like you're just not adverse to taking any risks. Like no. you just literally thought, right, you've looked at it from an objective point of view and you said, look, what I'm doing now isn't going to take me to where I want to go to as in my life. That's not going to achieve. I'm not going to achieve my goals doing that. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to pivot hard and fast. And all
I've done all my life is pivot.
Yeah,
all I've done. Even when I spent all my money building this app, it was a gym focused app. It only had gym exercises on it. I've never done a home workout in my life. Week later, we go into lockdown.
But how did you get the money between that point you quitting the gym? I know you had an ebook, and I think you did.
That's what I'm saying, scaling. So obviously I was in the gym and I thought, as I say, I don't want to be doing this, and I'm not going to ever grow how I want to working in this gym. So then obviously I knew that I used to write the plans for 70 quid. I said, if I used to write a plan for 70 quid, I can write an ebook and someone's going to buy it at $15.99. And I made this ebook. I think I spent 300 quid on it, getting a graphic designer in. I'd done all the pictures on self-timer with a tripod, starting up in the squat, squatting down, getting like a full ebook of explaining the exercises, writing out all the plans. I've done an 8-week plan to start with. And I remember, I think the first ebook, I think I'd done 280,000, 300,000 pounds in sales.
It's mad, isn't it, when you break it down?
Yeah, like and then I've done 5 more. They didn't do as well, but I think all in all, I'll probably earn about 500 grand. So I bought my first flat with it, and paid for my app.
So you made 500-600 grand out the ebook. You pay your tax. You do all that stuff. Then you drop the rest of the money into fully investing in yourself again and going balls to the wall with it.
Yep.
I'm building this app. Mm-hmm. And the app for you was just all about, let's scale this thing. And I can't scale time.
Couldn't make another ebook, come on. Yeah. Like, oh God, what am I going to do? Just keep selling these ebooks for the rest of my life. Draining as well. There's no motivation behind that.
But so how much did you spend on that first app?
It was about 80 grand, 75 grand.
And you just had no adversity to doing it? You just like, that's it?
I knew it was going to work. Like, I'm a numbers girl. I've always been good at numbers. I've done A-level maths when I was like 13 in secondary school. Like I'm a numbers girl. Like I've always been good at it. I looked at this and I looked at the figures. Come on, it's a no-brainer. I'm not being funny, but even if I had 5 good months on this app, I've got my money back. If I'm charging $15.99 a month and I've got 1,000 subscribers, I'm sweet. Do you know what I mean? And I had 280,000 followers.
But what I want people to get out of this is how you've got that self-belief, right? How can this audience get the same self-belief within themselves that you've got in regard to backing themselves to do what they should be doing? Because there's a lot of people with dreams that aren't executing on them.
Yeah. I think I've learned that myself, because I've gone into something half-hearted and it's never succeeded. Like if you don't have 100% passion, 100% belief in something, it's never going to succeed. I believed that I was a good trainer. I see the results that I was getting. I loved what I was doing. And when people would come in and they would like critique me or whatever, I learned from it. But I knew I was good at what I did. You've got to back yourself. You've literally got to back yourself. And I know sometimes that can be really hard. As I said, I was going through this time where I was really judgmental about myself. But in your why, in what you do, you've got to know that you can do it.
So how have you got to know your why so in depth and so channeled that you can operate from certainty?
I would say, obviously, when you get results, it's a massive thing. When you start seeing it actually working, and I'd say I just practicing what you preach, keep showing up. But I don't really know, to be honest with you. Where has it come from?
I think there's such a. I feel there's
it's a hard one, ain't it?
I just feel there's something.
I really back myself, and yeah. I know that might sound big-headed, but I do back myself.
That ultimately, that's why I really wanted to have you on, because I wanted to understand. You know, you are not afraid at all, in any stretch of the imagination, to throw balls to the wall, cash at it.
Maybe it's because I had nothing to lose.
And you think your whole... I suppose maybe you're looking at it from the point of view is like, I started on a council estate in England.
I've come from nothing, yeah, so what?
I'm doing well. I'm just going to have a right old go at it along this way, because at the end of the day, the worst possible point is the fact of I end up back on a council estate in England.
Exactly. I get chucked on a stage sometimes, and Luke, he used to go to me, "You're right." He's like, "Wait, just let me do it. Let me crack on." And I just think sometimes, so what if I get up there if they don't like me? Obviously, it's going to be horrible if they get up there and they don't like me. Because if you worry about it, you're never gonna push yourself. You're never gonna get further. And I actually say this to people on my workouts: don't be a worrier, be a warrior. And I think a lot of people worry all the time. They worry about not succeeding. They worry about what people think of them. They worry about their business failing. And that's the biggest thing that stops them from succeeding is worrying.
The key thing then is like when you've got one thing working,
you're doing too much, yeah.
It doesn't, you don't always need to add another thing. Like I know there's a lot of people out
100%.
there that say, oh, when one business is doing well, go start another.
No.
But the thing that I've found on my entrepreneurial journey that I'm going back to now is like, I'm scaling contentremoval.com because that I know works and works well and we're good at it. Whereas when I've put other things in, we do this now, we do this, we do X, Y, Z. I'm like,
yes,
I have lost so much time, money, energy and peace. Most important out of all of that is peace. I lost peace in my mind.
I know exactly what you mean.
From doing it, because now I'm thinking about another thing.
My app has got a huge subscriber base, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's tiny compared to the amount of people in the UK alone. At one point, we completely lost our core vision, right? We was trying to scale out to America, to all these different countries. We was trying to get more men on the app. When we've got, like, I'd say there's 85%, 80% of women on there. It does cater to men as well. But why on earth are we trying to change our brand, our vision, our why to fit with other genders, to fit with all these other countries, when we're not even tapped into the smallest percentage of the UK? I mean, there's millions of women in the UK, and there's like, you've not targeted any of them yet. Obviously, not all of them are going to want to train, not all of them are going to be into fitness. But why are you trying it? Until you've absolutely dominated that audience, why are you scaling out? You lose your why.
I was speaking to Matt Kelly, who owns Space Goods in the UK, and he was even talking the other week about launching European ads and that. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I mean, who am I to tell anyone what to do? But like, until you've absolutely smashed the UK market and got it to the point where you dominate, like, there really isn't any point launching other ads in other spaces and doing all this, exactly what you said. Because
what we was doing was paying companies to come in and do ads and stuff like that. And it's like, we've not even used our own client base yet. We've got this data pool of people that we've not even targeted yet. Why are we wasting? Focus, have a core vision, sit down with your team, and you really need to decide on what your why is, where you want to move forward, and how you can do it in a really realistic manner. Because there's no point spending all this money, wasting all this cash, and then not even getting the vision that you wanted in the first place. You need to have a really solid core vision.
Who are the people in your team that you've brought on that really brought you back to that? Or was it something that you saw on the outside where you were looking at it and thought, I'm spending all this cash over here, and here, and you're just watching them all run around trying to execute on all these things that you've given them, and then you kind of come back to you and you're like, this is just too much? It
was who we got rid of. We had one piece of advice, and look, I'm 26, right? You might be looking at me like, "Oh, she's take business advice from me from." But I've done a lot in my career and in my businesses. One piece of advice is your team is so important. Do not have people that don't have the same vision, don't have the same beliefs in the brand, and you can't 100% work with. Because we've had people that work with us, and we've found out they're either not on the same path as us, they're maybe a little bit slyer, they're doing things that you don't necessarily agree with, and you're letting things slip, and it becomes very messy. As soon as that team environment starts dipping, everyone becomes unmotivated, everyone starts not turning up to work as much. Do you know what I mean?
It's like if you put one bad apple in a bowl of fruit, they all go rotten, don't they?
Yeah, we had two, and as soon as we sorted that, we discovered that we've got a really good solid team with us now, and we sat down and we thought, one of the reasons why we started dipping was because I started taking a few extra days off, and I realised that to keep my brand going, people want me to be training them every day. Another thing was we was trying to like scope out too much. We was forgetting about the women that we really help mainly, and we was trying to like add in all these different trainers to help men and all these different instructors. When people actually just want to enjoy fitness, and we just need to focus on our core values. And yeah, of course, like men can use the app, but obviously women is the biggest driving factor of our app.
Yeah, once if you know your core audience, serve your core audience.
Yeah,
and keep drilling down until you've absolutely, I mean, own the market, so to speak. But you, in your kind of demographic in the UK, there's probably 10 million women, right?
Exactly.
So until you got at least 1 million or however many millions in the app, like you've still got penetration that you can have in that market. And not only that, by having them all in a similar market, UK, parts of Europe, wherever they are, by having them all in that market, you've got the referral network as well.
It's like when people say, what's your 5-year plan? I absolutely hate that phrase. What's your 5-year plan? Because I think it then puts a pressure on people to say all these mad, crazy like things that they're planning. Sometimes it's literally just to dominate what you're doing and get the best at what you're doing.
Do you know what?
I absolutely hate that phrase. That's not a question you was going to ask me.
No. I had a mad breakthrough the other day, and it came from a man who's high up in this, right?
Oh, okay.
And he listens to the podcast, and he said to me, "What's your vision for the podcast, and what you're going to do, and what you're going to execute on?" And I sent him a voice note. It's mad voice note about this, that, the other, and it was all. I can't remember the words he used, but basically, I had literally said everything I was going to do, and it's all like, but I hadn't brought it back to the numbers. And when he gave me this advice to bring it back to the numbers and reverse engineer the outcome on the data, rather than, oh, that sounds all great, you know, having these mad visions, but like, where's the data? Where's the data to back that up?
Yeah.
What's the data saying? How are you going to apply the data? It's just a profound moment for me, because I realised that a lot of my life I'd been pursuing things I'm passionate about it, all this, which is all great, but what's the data telling you? In your business, the data is telling you that your women are between this age and this age, and they're located here, here, and here, in this country, this country, and this country. Okay, we'll serve them then.
Yeah.
Because you're already doing that, you can already scale that.
Yeah.
So when you know your data, you can move different. Whereas I wasn't looking at the data; I was just looking at, oh, this is what I want to achieve, and it's all woo woo. But when you're woo wooing like that, you're all up in the air. You're everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It just really helped me clarify my objective and how to move once I looked at the data and worked out the data on the business side of. Because to scale a podcast to get to where I want to go to scale where you want to go to, you need a revenue model. You need to look at what the revenue model is. Well, I was never looking at that because I was just passionate about it. Mm-hmm. I was never thinking about revenue. I was just spending cash to take this further, but never looking at anything else. So it just really helped me gain clarity when you look inward and you have someone for me, it was from the outside. You've seen it. You've looked at your team and gone, fuck this is too much.
Yeah.
But I had to have someone from the outside tell me, and that's 3.5 years in.
I literally went, fuck this is too much. It costs me too much money. You're bringing us down. You're not doing anything. But if anything, you're just stressing us out.
You know, when you left the gym and obviously you made the ebooks, obviously that was you scaled that to like $500,000. Was it the $500,000 point you took on your first member of staff?
No.
At what point
I
did you
only had my first employee in lockdown.
Oh, really? So like 2020?
Yeah, like 2 months into lockdown. My best mate.
I
had PA. That was it. Obviously, we had outsourced app developers.
Yeah.
Like a company that we used, but.
So what had you scaled to in terms of revenue numbers by the time you took on your first employee?
Georgia started working with me. To be fair, when we was in lockdown though, I didn't earn anything for like 5 months. Like I didn't get subscribers on the app for 5 months, so I was doing the free live workouts.
So you're doing free workouts. You're spending cash flow on developing your app, but you still decide, here again, you're relentless. You backed yourself again.
I got up to 35,000 views on a live workout one day. I knew that I was going to turn that into cash. I had a plan in my mind that obviously I'll just say one day that you're going to have to just come over to the app. And I trickled it down by doing that.
And what percentage were you working
There's
out?
no way I've helped that many people's lives for 5 months. I've shown up every day at 9 a.m. and they've become a routine. They've become accustomed to that routine of training with me every day, and they're just going to leave that. No way. No way. So you're telling me that you, every day for 5 months, you went and had the same breakfast, and you went and done the same thing, and you loved it, and it was making you feel happy, you was enjoying it, and it wasn't really costing you anything. It was costing you, like, you could afford it. It was really easy to fit into your life. You'd just give it up.
I suppose you got a point.
You wouldn't.
And
would you chuck away your favourite bed sheets? No.
It depends who'd been in them.
True.
It really depends on the energy that's been
True.
in them.
Sage.
I'm telling you now, you need to sage them, or it depends if there are a few thousand thread count.
Yeah, you might have to just go over it, to be honest.
And the silk, you might have to just get over it and get the sage out, them all up. But you don't. I don't know. Like, there's a few answers to that question.
There is, to be fair. Well, forget about the bed sheets. Sorry for lowering the tone.
It's not that kind of. we're not going into that. But no, I just think it's really a key thing in your whole journey. It's like literally like there again. You've backed yourself. You took on an employee. You've launched an app. You spent 80 grand.
By the way, I made my best mate leave her job.
And is this the best mate that further down the track you had the falling out with as well?
Yeah. Me and G don't talk anymore.
Yeah. So talking to employing friends and how that kind of works out, because obviously on this,
it's so hard. I know what you're going to ask me. Should you not employ friends? I'm so glad that I employed her. Like, because when she was working for me, she done me a lot of good. Like, I think we was literally best mates. We was like sisters, right? That's why it's sad that we don't talk anymore. But when she was working for me, she literally went above and beyond, right? Above and beyond. Like, above and beyond. This is why I don't know whether, like, look, whatever happened between us, but she went above and beyond. But then I think, obviously, it's hard because when you're working with someone every day and then they start telling you what's going wrong or things that are going wrong, and obviously my job was really stressful. Like, we had really stressful times. Like, sometimes the app went down and we had thousands of people just messaging us, like, abuse. And, like, sometimes we'd just get, like, it would be, like, awful. And it's hard to then try to go on holiday with your best mate the next week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When I'm stressing, I'm being aggy, and obviously my PA's there, who's also my best mate. It's hard. It's hard. But I don't regret employing her because obviously
because you scaled with her. Yeah.
And look, I've got a lot to thank her for. Do you know what I mean?
I think you've both probably learned a lot separately from that situation.
100%, yeah. 100%.
And I think, like you say, when you got your friend and then you're going on a holiday with her the next week, you're going to talk about you're going to talk
it's
about
like
work.
Going on holiday with your boyfriend, yeah, and you're constantly stressed out, you're constantly stressed out, and they do something that really pisses you off. You snap. Because you're with them every day, right? If you're with your best mate every day and she works for you, I was probably snappy. She was probably snappy with me as well because we're with each other every day and we're in stressful situations. It can make it quite toxic.
Yeah.
Can't it?
Yeah, well, I can only imagine because you're in a high pressure environment. Cause
obviously we've got thousands of people. And this is another thing, okay? People turn to exercise as a form of release, right? It's either to make them feel better about themselves, to make them happier, to escape part of their lives. If their workout's shit, or if their app's not working that day, oh my goodness, they're coming for me. Do you know what I mean? I understand it because if you're really like low in self-confidence, or if you're turning to me to make your day better, and like you've spent that 1 hour that you've got with me and you didn't like the workout, or the sound was rubbish, or it was crackly, you're going to be fuming, yeah? And that's why it's such a high-pressure environment. Honestly, I love what I do. I help so many people, but oh my goodness, I have had such up and downs from it. I've literally had to see counsellors. I had my first panic attack because I'm so passionate about what I do and I put so much effort into it. When I then maybe don't motivate someone that day, it sounds so silly, or when someone doesn't enjoy the workouts, or if I get like a little bit of negativity, it absolutely destroys me, because I put my heart and soul into it. And as I say, I've worked all these years, and I wake up at 5 a.m. to do all these videos and whatnot. And when you get negative feedback, it's just not nice when it's your passion and it's something that you actually want to help people with. So obviously, when we was doing that and we'd have like these little disruptions with the app, or we'd have like these hiccups, she would also see me absolutely upset. Like, she would see me like, she'd be on my Instagram and read messages, like, and sometimes it would be like really horrible or really negative, or she'd go on like I would never read them, but she'd go on the gossip columns. Obviously, she's my best mate, and it would upset her as well. And yeah, it's not nice. It was just an accumulation of things, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine how difficult it was as well, because
I actually messaged her. I'm being really honest now, but I actually messaged her maybe a month ago when I was in Dubai last time, because I had this like deja vu moment. I had these slippers on and whatnot, and I said to her, I've got deja vu, I've got these slippers on, right? And she kind of just went to me, oh, I'm surprised to hear from you after the podcast and the high performance podcast. And I said, no, it's not, I didn't say anything like, I don't dislike you, I still got a lot of love for you. I literally just said, like, it's unfortunate what happened, and I explained the situation, but I feel like it's shit, because obviously we're both clearly hurt about it, but I just feel like there's no going back. Like, I tried to break the ice a little bit, and it's just, I don't know, it's sad, isn't it? But sometimes you've got to move away from your friends.
I think as you evolve
yeah,
as a human, you are going to lose people along the way.
Yeah.
But there was pivotal lessons in that for both you and her.
Both of us, yeah.
That you both got.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just when you have a disagreement with someone, or when these lessons come out in the wash, however they come out in your life, you both get the lesson.
Oh,
that's what I've realised.
Yeah.
You're not. There's not one of you getting a lesson, one of you's not learning anything.
No. Even if you don't realise it at the time.
Even if you don't realise it at the time, there's actually nothing really, truly bad.
I'd say people have absolutely made me. Don't get me wrong, I felt broken at times, but the lessons you learn from other people is what makes you who you are. It really is.
Well, put it this way. If your childhood hadn't have been the way it was, if you hadn't have gone through the eating disorder, if you hadn't have gone through you dealing with your dad's addiction, if you hadn't have gone through everything that you've done, you wouldn't be sat here today with an app that does, millions of pounds. You wouldn't be sat here with book deals. You wouldn't be sat here living in Dubai. You wouldn't be sat here with the opportunities that you've got at your disposal. In essence, the life that you've lived has allowed you to go, do you know what? I'm just going to go balls to the wall and just have a real go at this, because you've never really had any limits in your mind. And there's I meet a lot of girls, especially in the fitness or the modelling industry, that do have these certain limits in their mind that stop them doing what you've done, because they just won't execute the way that you've executed and back themselves the way that you've backed yourself, especially with that app, because anyone that knows about developing apps, 80 grand's just a start.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's just, that's just
triple it monthly.
Yeah. Like when you start,
Crazy,
you start going down the path with an app, right? It starts to get really expensive.
Some people go, oh, can you just add this feature on? Yeah. All right. We'll just muster up 3 months and do that in a week and spend 300 grand. But we'll sort it.
So, just so that people understand, say you want to add like the most basic feature in the app, what are you kind of looking at price-wise?
Oh, right. Okay. So the forum that we've added, it costs us 45 grand. And people don't even really use it that much. We've got an amazing Facebook group. Do you know how annoying that is? Little things like, we're changing the train, like the way that the app looks at the minute. So it's just a design element.
UX, yeah.
Yeah, it's just literally just a UX design element. So we're changing the way that the trainers are shown on the app, and it's costing like 23 grand just for a design. No like new features or anything like that. We keep a calorie counter, costs us an absolute fortune, but to get a barcode scanner in there, I was looking at 300k, because you've got to pay for the library of stuff as well, and that's a rolling yearly contract. And people keep saying to us, can we get the barcode scanner? I'm just like, at the minute we just can't.
So the barcode scanner essentially connects to something like Fitness Pal.
Yeah.
And Fitness Pal are probably charging you for
charge us,
for the API connection.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how they've monetized their back end then. So they've monetized the back end not only from the normal users, but then they charge companies like you to plug into the back of their library that they've built up.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that app can be accurate in some degree, but can be really out on other things as well. So it's
as well. It's crazy because I get an idea and it takes 3-4 months to implement it. Maybe 5 if you've got other things going on in the background.
So do you think then, as you've got...
And it will bug me every day looking at the app without that feature.
So as you've moved along the process in business and scaled, you've noticed that it gets slower to move on stuff for you.
With app developing and stuff, I'm so impulsive. That's one good thing and one bad thing about me. I'm so impatient, I'm really impatient. But my impatience and my impulsiveness has made me succeed in business because I don't wait around. I don't dilly-dally. And it's made me make the best decisions. Also made me make some bad decisions, but I think on my feet and I think fast. And I've always been like that because I am quite impatient. I can't sit still.
What do you kind of aspire to achieve like in the next 12 months with direction of where you're going? Like where's your key focuses?
I want to settle in. I want to feel good where I am. I want to enjoy my life. I want to say yes to going out a bit more and just doing different things. And I do that in London. I've done that in London and I felt great for it. So when I'm here, I don't want to like structure myself to, oh no, I need to work. I want to like go to the beach clubs and maybe work from different places and stuff like that. I want to grow my brand and I want to carry on growing my brand. I absolutely love my app. I love waking up every day and filming for my app. It's a passion of mine. I want to get even more into that. I want to do some more boot camps here because I love meeting people. I've got a massive, great big walk around the marina on Saturday where everyone's just going to meet up and go for a walk. I love like meeting new people. I love listening to other people's stories and I want to really network a bit more. I want to meet people that are going to inspire me and I can inspire them and we can grow from each other. And I think all of that is one key. Always listen and learn from other people. Don't be so your way or the highway or you know best because you can learn a lot from other people, a lot from other entrepreneurs.
And what's your thoughts on Dubai? Is it something that's going to be a few years for you, more of a permanent move?
I don't know. I didn't even think I was going to be here last year. People say to you, where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? I ain't got a clue because where I was 5 years ago when I was 21, I never thought I was going to be where I am now. Never.
I didn't think this, but I'm actually thinking to myself, maybe I have a base here for certain times of the year as well. You know, maybe 6 months a year here.
Yeah,
I've been here twice before for periods of time, but never felt this time. I just feel a little bit different. The third time, it's just I don't know. It's the other day actually. Obviously, saw you on that random boat thing that we got both.
See me on the boat swinging a ponytail around, having the best time. I wasn't doing that.
We ended up on this. We both got invited to this business boat thing. It was actually real like mellow. It was cool, just chilled. And like I just realised, when looking at the city from that boat, I was thinking,
oh, it's beautiful.
How progressive is this place?
Do you know how much better it is when I'm doing my workouts to that view? Yeah. Rather than doing my workouts to my dining table. Yeah. When I wake up in the morning, I go for a walk, and I can actually go for a walk at 6 a.m, and I'm in like light. Yeah. It suits my lifestyle to the ground.
Yeah, I just think that so much opportunity out here for people, especially if you're living in a place like England, for argument's sake. Yeah. Like if you're in this audience and you listen
but
from Australia,
you can make opportunity anywhere you go. There's opportunities everywhere.
You can make opportunities wherever you go. I just think opportunities are made easier in a place that are in true alignment with like sunlight. For argument's sake. I think sunlight makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
Like UK summer's amazing.
I'm going to stick it back on you now. So what would you say to people that can't get out of England? Some people can't move. So how are they going to then?
Well, here's the thing, right? You're saying that people can't move, and their excuses could be they've got kids, their kids are in school, they this, that, the other. But there is always an option where they can move.
Not everyone can afford to move to Dubai, though.
And no option. I'm not saying that they can, but there's other places as well that you can go to. But I'm just saying, from my experience, let's just look at it from, because I don't know what situation people are facing that are listening to this, so I can't say everyone can move to Dubai or move to Australia or move anywhere. I'm just saying, from my personal experience, my own personal experience here, I was a carpenter and joiner. earning 20 odd grand a year doing English heritage work in 2013, and I decided that my time in England was over in terms of like, I moved to Australia. Best decision of my life. It educated me on business, it educated me on life, it educated me on networking, everything like that. And then after 7, 8 years, 8.5 years or whatever in Australia, I realised, right, I need to evolve again.
So would you say education's a key thing?
I think just understanding that where you're born doesn't mean you have to, doesn't define who you are. So in answer to your question is, put yourself in a city in the country that you are in that allows you the opportunities for the growth that you want in your life. So
cut out negative people.
Cut out the negative people. But
learn more. Put yourself in situations where you're going to grow.
But say you're living in Peterborough in the UK where I was staying, right? And you're not feeling that,
not Peterborough.
And you're not feeling that there's abundance of opportunities there. You can you move to London then.
Yeah.
Move to Manchester. Move to somewhere where there's more opportunities, and you can create more network if you can't leave the country, as you're saying. But I just think that who you're surrounded by and the country that you're in as well, like you can really move. People just get too pigeonholed into thinking they have to stay in one place, and it's all in the mind. It's not the truth. Yeah. Is there anything you'd add to that?
I'd say the same. I'd say obviously sometimes it is a little bit harder. Look, life's life, and sometimes I know people are going to think, well, it's still not helping me. Fair enough. But I do think taking a combination of what you've just said, a combination of that, learning, finding something that you're passionate about, pushing yourself out of your comfort zones and backing yourself, I think combination of all of that is worth a go, right?
I think you just got to risk it for a chocolate biscuit at the end of the day. Like you're not going to...
Look, you ain't got to quit your job.
Yeah.
You ain't got to pack up and move to bloody Australia, but you've got to start taking initiative and you've got to start working for what you want. Whether that means you start doing that of an evening, whether that means you wake up in the morning and you start putting together a career that you want to do, that you're passionate about, and you do both at the same time. That might take you years, but at least you're making them steps. And then you might think, right, my next step is to move somewhere that is going to make me happier. My next step is to cut out these people and surround myself and network with people that are a lot more inspiring, and they're benefiting me and they're educating me in ways that I've never been educated before. Yeah. Because the school system and stuff like that isn't going to educate you. Watching YouTube, listening to other people, talking to people that are like, just try to approach people. Try to speak to people that you know are going to benefit you or going to help you in some way. I think
the key is to go to collaborative environments.
Yeah.
Environments that are conducive to collaborating. Your Londons, your Dubais, you know, your Sydneys, your Melbournes, your LAs, your Miamis. You know, these are the places where you take yourself to, and they might not be for your whole life, but you take yourself there for a period of time so that you can find people of a similar mindset, so that you can move yourself forward. Essentially, you can't do that when you're sat in the same environment that you got sick in. So you can't get healthy in the same environment you got sick in, essentially. So if you're sick of where you are, then in order to gain new perspective, you got to change your location.
Yeah.
Simple as that. That helps you with the separation from the people that you perhaps shouldn't be surrounded by, if that is your problem.
Yeah.
You know, you can always keep in contact with people, can't you? But honestly, when I landed here, and after day 2, it was like a veil had been lifted off me again, and I felt like I was fully in flow again. And it's amazing the conversations I've had with the likes of you that have been productive, and other people that have been productive and stuff like that. And also just my whole, I could do this, and things are firing again, firing and wiring. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it, you know, when you refire and rewire things in your mind from a different perspective, it just allows you to see so much more opportunity. And you could even take yourself on a holiday. Another way of doing it.
I was just about to say that. Take yourself something. Don't let people hold you back.
Take yourself on a little holiday. Maybe have a little break from where you are, and instead of taking yourself away with distractions, i.e. the phone, social media, all that stuff, just that. You know, I know it sounds woo-woo, but like meditate and
take a notebook
and get present and start journaling and start really figuring out yourself.
Write down what you want to achieve. Write down the things that you're passionate about. Write down your purpose. 100%. I was thinking that earlier when we were talking about getting away. You don't have to move somewhere.
No,
that might not be feasible.
You just have to change it for a period. You just have to change it. I think that's what I'm trying to get at with all of you. It's like, you don't have to change it forever, but you have to change it for long enough
to give
asking
you to pick up and move your life.
But you need to change it for a period of time to allow yourself the peace to be able to see the opportunities in front of you, even where you're living right now. I think is what I'm trying to get across to people.
Yeah,
I think that's the key I've learned with it. But if there was one piece, right, if you had to check out the world today, obviously you've smashed it, you've made millions out of your app, you've built a huge social following, you've changed thousands of lives and given women hope and all that stuff in their fitness journeys. But if you couldn't take any of that behind, but you got to check out the world today, but you could just leave one piece of advice to this audience that's going to empower them to move them that 1% in their life today that they can implement today, what would it be? Don't
lose your purpose. Don't lose your purpose in what you're doing. Don't lose your purpose in your why. Don't get drained into other situations that's going to start make you being disgenuine to yourself. Don't surround yourself with people that are going to lose focus. Don't forget why you're doing what you're doing. Don't forget why you want to succeed. Don't start just worrying about what people think about you, what car you're driving. It's all great, all of that, but if that's not going to serve your purpose in life, don't just surround yourself with people because you think it looks good. Actually have a purpose, and you're going to be so fulfilled, and you're going to succeed a lot more. No,
I love that. I love, and is there I just want a little bit more out of you. How can they get clearer on their purpose?
Look at yourself and think, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you think it's just going to make you loads of money? Great. I mean, that might be your driving factor, but I don't think that's going to be very long lasting. Are you passionate about it? Do you feel like you have a purpose? Do you feel like you can help people? Do you feel like you're actually good at it? Do you feel like you back yourself on it? Do you feel like you're confident in it? And that's how I think you've got purpose.
And I totally agree with you, and I'll add this in. I believe with this podcast that I can serve others with it, and it lights me up on a different level, and that's what gets me up and gets me to book the guests and keeps me moving. You know, even though there's other podcasters in England and America that are doing way bigger numbers than me at the moment, what gets me up is, and what keeps me fucking going every day is the fact that I'm trying to create something that you don't just listen to, that you feel as well. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't just want people listening to, I want people to feel the energy.
Same, when people come up to me and they go, like, I mean, I'm not being funny, how many people are there that do these workouts? When people come up to me and go, honestly, you've changed my life because you got me through tough times, and I'd switch it on and I'd be happy to be with you, and you've made me feel like I've got a purpose. And I mean, I go to beach clubs, I go on walks, I mean, I get stopped everywhere by people that are doing the app, and do you know how fulfilling that is? And it's like, I don't want someone to come up to me and tell me that, oh, you look pretty in your pictures, or you follow me because of this, or I don't know, like, I don't want attention from people in that way. I want attention from people because I'm making them feel good. Yeah. And when someone says to me, oh, do you like it when people come up to you? Of course I do. They're not being weird, they're not being creepy, they're not saying that I look nice.
They're just appreciating you.
They're just appreciating me, and they're actually like loving what I'm doing for them. And do you know how it's fucking amazing? Like, it's so good. So good.
I can see that. I can see it. And I feel it. Because I'm totally the same. I'm on board with you on that. Guys, do me a solid favour. Yeah? If you've got the value out of this episode that I hope you have, and Courtney's journey, and it's been an amazing one at that, like and subscribe on all the platforms. Share this on your social media channels. I appreciate every single one of you that's backed me for the last 3.5 years on this journey. And I thank you for your time coming on this day. And I really enjoyed it. And it's going to be the start of a good friendship.
Yeah, it's great.
Even though you banter me too much. But
look, no one's getting away from that, unfortunately.
But guys, like, subscribe, share it on all the channels. I appreciate you. Much love.
Guys, do me a solid favour. Drop a comment below this video and let us know who you want on the podcast next.